if we're dealing with a painful shoulder, this probably hurts, okay? So if we're mobbing them and we have them up here at 90 degrees of abduction and that's a painful position, even though normal abduction is 180, this might hurt them. You may need to mobilize them way down here, okay? Find the place that's not painful. You can't have them in a painful or a closed pack position and then try to mobilize them. And the other thing is, when we're doing our distraction, our gentle traction motion, if you're moving their whole body, you're probably tractioning too hard or they're not relaxed. So, ready to go on knee?
Okay, we're gonna do knee. Do you want me to do this like in the lock or the anterior jaw position, or do you want to do it like, just kind of like I think it's
You're impaired, so whatever one physically works better for you. I think they can feel both. So.
Yeah, I was just thinking the other one.
I mean physically challenged, not impaired. She's not.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Sorry, yeah.
Huh?
I don't know what term to use. Impaired sounds like even pregnant.
I'm special. It's amazing though. It's amazing how many people stare at you and look like you are disabled. Like,
Happens to me every day.
I bet,
I don't
people
even have
like,
crutches.
oh my God, get
They
away.
were looking at me like,
it's
"Wow,
like,
poor
I'm
guy."
like, really, I just have
Where's your
crutches,
helmet?
I'm not going to whack you, Seriously.
Good description.
I'm normal. Yes, it's given me a huge eye-opening just for appreciating people with disabilities. Okay, we're going to do knee here, alrighty? So we're going to do it, let me make sure I got this correctly. I think we're doing an anterior glide to the knee.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Anterior?
Oh, the last one.
Yeah. Proximal to the anterior glide. Okay. So I don't know how many of you know like the anterior jaw test for an ACL, but this is similar to that, but we're not going to test the ACL, we're going to joint both, okay? So if I've got the tibia, I'm going to mobilize his tibia on his femur. I'm mobilizing a concave surface now on a convex, okay? So tibia is concave, femur is convex. My roll and glide are in the same direction, okay? So this is slightly opposite. So if I am doing an anterior glide this direction, I'm going to improving his extension. Does that make sense for people? Okay? So if I'm gliding this way, I'm going to improving this motion, his extension, okay? As opposed to if I were doing a posterior glide, I would be increasing his flexion motion. Same roll and glide are the same, okay? Once again, I want to have the patient positioned appropriately. You can do this in several different positions. We're going to learn this position today. When we learn knee, we might learn other positions to do it in, okay? So you might see it done differently. Want to expose the joint surface, if your patient has jeans on, probably not very effective. You want to expose that joint surface in all situations. So, same thing, if they've got a shoe on and you're doing ankle, you better have them take their shoe and sock off, okay? Because you need to see what you're doing, okay? And then once again, in this situation, I chose this position because he's going to be stable. Like his foot is stabilized on the table now. Femur is kind of stabilized by his butt, on the table and stuff like that, okay? So I don't have to, belt anything down or anything. So this is kind of a nice position because you don't have to belt anything down. I've already got the stability, okay? So in this position, it's a little bit harder to do some traction, but I can slightly traction a little bit here as I'm doing the glide, okay? You're not going to be able to distract quite as much, or that long axis traction quite as much, because this foot's on the table, okay? But you can apply, you can separate the joint surfaces a little bit. So I'm still going to do that. And I'm going to sneeze, so if I sneeze, I won't sneeze on you, I promise. So anyway, you get a little bit of that. And I'm going to be doing an anterior glide, which is out toward me, okay? So I'm going to grab behind here, I'm going to find where that joint surface is. It's basically right back at that popliteal fossa. I can't be on a femur. So I'm right there, I'm at the edge of the tibial femoral joint, and I'm going to pull in an anterior direction. My body is kind of facing the direction I want to pull, and all I'm doing is leaning back slightly. Okay? So I'm doing a little bit of traction. I kind of grip here. Like Tim said, like a broad grip is going to feel better. I don't want to compress his epicondyles. I don't want to compress anything there. I want to kind of come and provide that broad surface contact, slight traction, distraction down, and I'm going to pull anterior. Questions?
Did you mention how you're stabilizing the distal end of that tibia?
Yes, by his foot here on the table, yes.
Yeah.
Stabilize.
And then, but she's planted on it too. So some people,
yeah.
if their foot's sliding or anything like that, lock it down, put your knee on it, sit on
Thank
it.
you.
If you don't want to sit on their bare foot, you can put a towel on it, but lock that down. If the foot's sliding on the table, the distal end's not stabilized.
Is the foot sliding, is that gonna be pretty common?
Do we want the foot sliding, Sarah, you think?
I'm not saying you don't want it sliding, but I'm saying if you didn't do that,
Yeah.
would it just be a pretty common?
Especially grade 3 and 4, enough force, the foot will kind of slide out.
Especially if you don't have a shoe on or something.
Okay.
Yeah, the shoe helps.
Why important is the close back position? How important is the stabilizing the foot? Why?
It's-
Because
it's- it's
with
important, you have to stabilize it, yes.
but why? Why?
Why?
Why?
Because you do not want, like in a shoulder,
that
I
foot
saw a lot,
moves-
yeah.
If that
You
foot
have to
moves, their knee's going into fuller extension. So you're going through a joint range of motion, and we don't want to. We want the tibia to slide upon a femur, and so if the knee falls into extension because that foot's falling down, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm
Okay.
doing some sort of awkward
It's
space
gonna-
range of motion.
Stabilize distal to move.
Correct. In the humerus, we kind of move that whole humerus down as a unit, okay? And we were fixating the distal end here. The foot needs to be fixated on that table, otherwise it's going to slide all over.
Also, just really, really quick, while we're talking about that, okay? I did see some people, and this is common when you first start out, okay? What you want to do is, when I'm doing a shoulder mob, it's a little bit easier to appreciate with the shoulder. I want my distal surface to be fixed. This hand does not move. It is stabilizing. This is the hand doing the glide, okay? I do not want to be doing this, okay? I'm going to be jamming. This hand has to stabilize. This hand is only mobilizing, okay? So I don't want to be moving both at once. Okay, so just the glide is applied only with this hand. Okay, this hand is doing a little bit of that distraction.
I thought when you said that you moved the joint with like moving your hip a little bit.
I use my body weight to get the glide. Okay, I don't technically put my hip against it and move it. I am using my body to do the glide as opposed to just doing my arm. So I am going like this because I have better leverage, I can get better force, especially if I'm getting in and doing my grade 4, is, my body is doing it versus, me just doing this all day, with my arm. It's gonna fatigue a lot more than if I've got my whole body, my weight behind it. Me big, 120,000 pounds, okay? Especially for me, because if I'm not as strong and I'm moving, a 250-pound guy, I better make sure I'm effective doing it, okay? So I have to have my body positioned so I can apply that grade 4 force to it.
So this
Yes.
is where